Weaving their way around North America, our drivers have visited many of the classics of road racing. But one that is consistently cited as a driver and fan favorite is Road America. It's fast, it's long, and it doesn't suffer fools lightly in its heavy braking zones. Will anyone find an advantage in this game of chicken with physics? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the PCA Pro GT3 Cup Series, sponsored by Porsche. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Rachel Whiteford. Cameron Aubernon is on social media along with Ryan Bauer producing, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Let's talk again about this new series in PCA Sim Racing because it's a bit different from our usual series and events. First off, there are two classes, PCA Pro and Pro. The difference being that the PCA Pro are drivers who have had to earn their way into tonight's racing by their solid performance in PCA Sim Racing Series 1 through 8. The top 10 in the Series 8's points are the latest to join the ranks. Then, on the other side, the Pro drivers are just that. These are drivers who may have raced sim racing, but are also members of professional racing teams who are running the GT3 Cup 992 car in 2022. Teams include 311 RS Motorsports, ACI Motorsports, Apoapsis Performance Solutions, Eagles Canyon Racing, Hardpoint Motorsports, and others that will be joining us later in the series. Now, today we head here to Road America, and if you aren't familiar with this track, we have our handy track guide to introduce you. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. Well, obviously, that's a general overview of this circuit, but we have the delight of having Ross Bentley of Speed Secrets back with us. Ross, welcome into the booth once again. What are we expecting with these Porsche GT3 Cup 992 cars around this track? There's some real danger spots, it seems.
Oh, there are danger spots, but I suspect we'll see some good drafting. Road America is an amazing track because it is so difficult to put a whole lap together. With it being so long, 4 miles long, you know, in 4 miles, the chances of making a little tiny mistake are pretty high. And that's where like the very, very best drivers can put a whole lap together here. And that's a tricky thing. It's fast, get some good drafting, like I said, because of the long straightaways, fast corners, medium speed corners, slow corners. Road America's got everything. And unfortunately, for sim racing, it doesn't have simulated brats and corn on the cob like we have in real life when we go there.
Or cheese curds. I can attest. I actually got to visit there this summer, and it was quite the experience. So yeah. I imagine a fair bit of passing there today because, like you said, the slipstream and some very heavy braking zones. Will that make track position less important, maybe?
Well, track position is always important, but there are more places to pass at Road America than most places, and not just because of the length of the track, but you know, it's got good long straights that lead into, you know, medium to, I mean, low speed to medium speed corners, which are great places to try to outbrake another car. So you've got a draft, you pop out, you try to make that pass. course, when you've got cars that are this close setup wise and so equal, that makes it really difficult. And then it really comes down to who got the best run out of the previous corner.
Certainly. Well, thanks for coming and chatting with us. And I guess one last one before we let you go. Biggest focal point for you. Where are you going to be watching today?
Every time I go to Road America as a coach, I ask myself that question. The corner leading onto the front straightaway, turn 14, is so critical that you get the car, you can carry speed through there, you get a good exit, and it leads to some good drafting. But it's not the most exciting place, and that's why getting up on the hill and watching through turns 6, 7, 8 down into there and entering the carousel is such a fun place to watch. But fortunately, with sim racing, I can kind of jump around.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it, and not as big of a trek like it is in the real track. Well, again, thank you so much, Ross, and can't wait to talk to you at the next round.
I'll be there.
As Ross Bentley of Speed Secrets Sim Racer Academy, helping give us a little bit of a guide to the track, but also, as I mentioned earlier, Rachel Whiteford joining us once again. This place, between places like Watkins Glen and Spa, among the most used road tracks that we see on the iRacing service, Rachel. It seems to always be a crowd pleaser.
It really is, and Road America has a little bit of everything. We've got the high-speed drafting, we've got the shorter technical racing here, the shorter technical parts of the track, and it's wide, and it's also narrow. It's like they made a racetrack with everyone's favorite bits, and it includes a little bit of everything. It really is good. This place has a special place. I think everyone could find something they don't like about most American tracks. Road America, I think people struggle to find something they don't like.
Certainly, especially in cars as powerful as these that are going to get a lot of speed down the straights. It'll be fun to watch, no doubt. But we also want to remind you, if you're watching this, that PCA Sim Racing social media offers in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing. Now, one of the things you'll probably see them talking about is that on Sunday, August 14th, we'll wrap up the 2022 Team Racing Series, and that'll be at Le Mans, of all places, perhaps the most appropriate for an endurance and team racing series. As always, it'll be sponsored by the Porsche Exchange, and we can't thank them enough for coming on board for that. But the series finale will once again be a benefit for Operation Motorsports, who's another one that has been a part of that endurance series and has done a lot to bring awareness to a great cause. It'll be hosted by Carolinas Region PCA and PCA Sim Racing jointly, both of them doing a lot behind the scenes there for the organization of what is a pretty big event. So don't miss your chance to cheer on your region's team while also supporting Operation Motorsport. For details on how to sign up and pledge, go to PCASimRacing.com/OPMO22. That's PCASimRacing.com/OPMO22. And watch the live broadcast starting at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. Be sure to visit operationmotorsport.org to learn more about their cause. Looking forward to that one, as that is going to be one that a lot of drivers will be working hard to try and take victory, as Le Mans is always highly sought after for someone to add to their tally of wins in any racing series. So we're just waiting for the last bit of the warm-up to finish up here, Rachel. They've already had the previous race in which they're going to grid up according to that first race. So whoever had a good time at the first one is certainly going to be at a bit of an advantage in the second one.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And right now we'll be getting those numbers in. And we have Rafael Amorim. What a surprise there. Up towards the front with Cameron Martineau, Jordan Dyer, Chris Pies, Arthur Chan, Darren Kostnak. These are some big guys, but this big guys out this field. This is the best of the best here. Huth, Brody, Walsh, Braun, Reisenberg, Eisenring, Schum, Wilson. There's no small people here, so it's definitely going to be exciting to see what we do. And as you just Ryan just said, it's one of those things where you really have make a mistake to win a race or lose a race. And I was going to disagree with him saying turn 14 is the most important, but he's not wrong. It really is a huge corner for a lap. But I will say you can lose the race in turn 5.
Yeah, sending it down into there, no doubt. People will be outbreaking themselves at one point. Now, we also have Travis Brody here on screen. Now, he and Lynn Wilson are both representing Autometrics Motorsports. So definitely want to give them a shout here from the Palmetto region here. Travis usually up towards the front in this series, so no doubt we will be seeing plenty of him out there here today. Lynn Wilson not out on track. Actually, no, I take that back. Lynn just came out on track in the 006. Looks like maybe just came out of pit lane, get the last little bit, and be on his way to make sure he's happy with things before we head off into the race proper, which we should see pretty soon here, but we do have at least a minute. I think actually it looks like about 30 seconds before they're going to get switched over to the next session, and they'll get the pace lap and be on their way for 40 minutes around here. You mentioned the run down to turn 5 and trying to keep the car safe there, not just trying to avoid getting into trouble, but also, man, the pit lane on this place, Rachel, it is a long one. So any extra visits down there is going to be cruel.
Yeah, certainly is. And of course, you're killing your speed going up the hill there out of 14 and losing all that draft potential. So it's going to be something you want to do as little times as possible.
No doubt. So looks like they have wrapped up that warm-up session and they are heading over into the grid here today. So let's go through our starting order. And we've got Rafael Amarim on the pole. After that, it is one of our pro drivers, Cameron Matno, starting next to him. Jordan Dyer will be in P3. You've got Chris Pies starting in the 4th position. Another one of our pro drivers. The top 4 really split evenly. Then we get a whole bunch of the PCA pros. Arthur Chan starting in 5th. Derwin Kostanak will be on the outside of row 3. And then rounding out the first half of the field, Rachel, Jim Huth will be starting from 7th.
Yeah, he will indeed. And in the 8th spot tonight, we have the car of Travis Brody there, along with Chris Walsh just behind him. And with Chris Walsh, we have Chris Braun. Quite a few of the Chris's here, in fact. Rick Reisenberg, Ed Eisenring, Jacob Schum, and Lynn Wilson, pro. Now,
as we see them take off, you may have been looking at that and thinking, well, that's slightly a lighter field than what we've seen in races past. And man, there's a few of the pros that seem to not be around. Well, we kind of have a good reason for that. They're actually racing in the real world here in this the Porsche Sprint Series. So a lot of the pros are actually out at the real one and getting ready and training for that. Now, obviously, they could use this for some training, but I have a feeling there's probably some other things involved and maybe a bit of travel that probably has pulled some of them away here. So that's why you're seeing only 14 drivers line up out there. That said, I was watching in the previous race, Rachel, and I was kind of impressed that at the closeness in pace throughout the field, there was, I think, a little bit more than 30 seconds from first to last at the end of a 40-minute race. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, the spread in speed here is really close, and we're getting a full pace lap around here, which is quite unusual. You don't normally see that Road America. They normally start actually on the bottom just before China Bend, and it's weird in this case because it means the tires are going to heat up and the car's going to change its weight. You're going to be burning fuel here on a full pace lap, and it shouldn't be too bad, but the tires definitely may be a bit different to a standing start or a shorter rolling start, so we'll see if that even does affect them. But it's definitely going to psychologically affect them because they haven't got as long to just sit there and get themselves their head. They're going to get going here now, but this field is very close. I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Psychologically, this has got to be a bit odd for them because, yes, they had a shorter warm-up, but then now they have this long period to go around the track when they've been cycling around there at speed for 40 minutes already. And as we take a look at Arthur Chan, the number 50 there, how many of them have kind of lost the rhythm with this long pace lap that we have to do? as they now head into the carousel around one of the more iconic corners. Drops a lot in elevation. You really don't realize how much it drops in elevation until you actually get here and you get to that side. Not sure if we have a camera angle that shows it. There's just a straight cliff.
It's like 2 stories. It's
Yeah.
about 2 stories in height. Yeah, it's huge.
There's
It's
a cliff
really
where
funny.
photographers perch to get
Yeah.
shots up there.
It's even funny with IndyCar when they run here or when they ran here, I should say, because wow, the speeds you'll see, but the carousel feels flat. As a driver, it feels flat. And
Yeah.
you don't realize you're going down so far, but it's kind of a big distance. It's like a train scaled curve, like 2-3 degrees.
Absolutely. Honestly, there's a number of places where the elevation change doesn't really get sold in the sim, even though it's 1-to-1 and it's perfect. I was kind of shocked because I watched the IndyCar race this summer from Hurry Downs, and the exit from Corvette Bridge all the way down to turn 8 there is just a continuous drop. It doesn't look like it at the start. You can kind of see a small drop in the sim on the Hurry Downs part after turn 7, but man, it really just plunges the entire way. And I had no idea how much of a hill was. Man, if you felt it having to walk the track, let me tell you, there's Lynn Wilson before we get going. It looks like they are now coming together to grid up as they go double file, and the pace car will release them. Amram will go on the green flag. Let's see who gets a good jump, because the run to the first corner could be critical here today, and trying to get away from your rivals and all the slipstreaming that is likely to happen. And there we go. Looks like Amram is on it as the green flag is out. Martineau did not get a good one. And Jordan Dyer is still in a drag race with Chris Pies to his outside, flying down into the first corner. Dyer's going to have the inside as the front 2 gets single file. Pies going to try around the outside, see if he can hang tough, and he can. The rest of them mostly get single file, Rachel, but this battle for third will not go away.
No, it will not. They're side by side here, sticking through it in turn 3, because apparently that small, even hair of a kink in the straight area is turn 2. Don't ask me why. Still side by side here as it's Dyer holding on at the moment. Absolutely holding on. Pies really wants to slice to this one, and coming down through 4, the kink here towards that big braking zone. This is where you can lose a race, and the side by side has paid off for the 14 machine of Pies, because he cut that one and he gets straight through. Oh, round goes the 86 into the wall for Jordan Dyer.
Oh, and it was looking like a great battle up to then. I'm not sure if he just went a little wide there or what happened, but the rear came around and that sends him to the back of the field. He did hit the wall, so that could be some severe damage. Meantime, Amram is now a full 8/10 ahead of Martineau, and Chris Pies, who did get that third place, has already set his sights on that 98.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he's going for this one pretty early. As Martineau needs to kind of keep his eyes on what's going on here, because Pies is not a slouch, and if he can try and get places here early, he can really do it. And he's one of the kings of putting pressure on people. That is one of his strengths, really. He will get in your mirrors and he'll fill them.
No doubt. And, well, unfortunately, he's got more in his mirrors right now. There's some action behind him. You can see a defense from Kostanak on Arthur Chan, but Chan's not able to quite get to the inside down into Canada corner. So we've only had that one incident so far. Very clean start for the first lap out here, but they have many more to go.
Yeah, they really do, and many more will be exactly the factor of this thing. 40 minutes around here can get a little bit draining, really, for the drivers. Walsh here in 6th place. He tried to work his way forward. Travis Brody just ahead of him there, coming along the start-finish line here. And this big draft effect will actually really affect you in turn 1 here, because you're going to be getting a big suck-up effect. And you have to be very careful where you're positioning with the car behind you, because this corner is much more oblique than people realize. So you've got to really balance the car there. Otherwise, with the number of people we've seen off in the gravel there, Joe, it's been crazy.
It doesn't have the paved runoff that they've introduced in real life. This is a scan from before that time. So yeah, you can kick up a lot of dirt and certainly muck up that exit of turn 1 quite easily with the number of drivers that push the limits around here. I wonder if that incident with Dyer has anything to do with the fact that Pies is one of our pro drivers while Dyer is a PCA pro. Wonder if Chris just has more experience dealing with that pressure and fighting that hard.
Yeah, no, he does, and that will definitely be an advantage for him as this race goes on here. And the hurry downs here are one of my favorite parts of this track. I know you said you watched the race from around there, yourself, but again, we see the elevation change we're seeing even down towards the top of the carousel here. This track's just falling away down the landscape.
Yeah, there's a lot about this place that has ups and downs. It was formed by glaciers, interestingly enough. So this is not any sort of mountainscape that was formed out by tectonic plates or anything. This is just carved out by giant blocks of ice, and so it's got interesting forms throughout it. But look at this onboard we're watching there in this close little battle as Kostenak still being hounded by Arthur Chan. Chan backs out of it late, and that almost gives Chris Walsh a chance to maybe get his nose in, but no dice for this moment. Instead, we hop on board with him, and they fly over Bill Mitchell Bend up towards the final corner. You talked about, or we heard, I think it was Ross talking about the critical factor of having good exits. Let's see if Walsh gets one, and it looks like no.
Oh, did someone mention glacial features? It's like one of my favorite topics, but I shall digress for the time being and not talk about terminal moraines. No, right now we're keeping an eye here on Arthur Chan and myself. These two you can see them on the camera there. Super close, heading into turn 1 here, going after Kostenak. Gonna see if he can make anything happen coming up on this next lap. Close enough here that I think he might be in range to do something into 5, and we're seeing exactly the same ahead of them again with Pies and Martineau for that second and third.
Travis Brody had a big off at turn 1, and I think this was a solo car incident, exactly what you described earlier, Rachel. Just went a little wide off into the gravel.
Yeah, cooked it, and that will go out and bite you in 1. You got to slow down more than you think for turn 1. It's one of those corners where you've got that huge speed on the straight. You don't want to dissipate it, of course, right up a corner, but the slower you are entering 1, the more you can punch out of it and down towards 3.
Well, Jordan Dyer will eventually get that position if he's able to return to the track, but Jordan's getting repairs. Brody has officially DNF'd from this race. That's a bit of a shame after we just had hyped him up at the start of this one. I'll have to pick your brain a little later because when it comes to glaciers, I'm afraid I'm a bit slow. In the meantime, Chris Pies sitting here in 3rd place. I did. I couldn't resist. Half a second between him and Martineau, but it's only half a second up to Amarim. It seems Raphael has not been able to scamper away.
No, he hasn't. He's been getting very honest about these guys, in fact. I think it's mostly Martineau trying to get away from Chris Pies is why he's been kept honest right now, because Amarim's just running his own race. He's not too worried, but he's got to keep his foot down. But Martineau is pouring on the motion lotion here, and he's flat-footing this thing because he knows there's a very hungry 14 behind him.
Yeah, and with 2 seconds back to Kostenak, they could have this 3-car breakaway just continuing to extend, having broken that slipstream to 4th and beyond. So will we see a decider for the podium positions until late in this one? Or look at this, great exit from Amarim up the front stretch, now up to 0.7 of a second beyond Cameron Martineau. I don't see any of them close enough for an attack into turn 1, so this one should stay put.
Just correct me on something. I've just had a bit of a moment in my brain here. It's Canada corner, isn't it, down at the bottom of the bottom?
It is indeed. I didn't want to say anything.
I said China Bend earlier. I was in Mid-Ohio for the Road to Pro qualifying series for the NASCAR Coca-Cola guys, the truck series. We were at Mid-Ohio. I got Mid-Ohio in my brain, okay? It was wild. Seeing trucks racing in Mid-Ohio was phenomenal, but I digress. Yeah, so it's Canada corner. Sorry, my brain is on mush mode. It is 3 a.m.
I was trying not to embarrass you anymore, as I figured, you know what, I'll just let that one slide.
No, I will embarrass myself as much as I can. Go for it. This is all fun for everybody, but these front 3 have really broken away here. 2 seconds to Kostenak. That's getting wider with the time.
Meanwhile, we've been watching the battle for 8th position as we've jumped back up now, and this is down into the hurry downs into turn 8 here. Still the top 3 separated by all of 1.2 seconds between them, and Kostenak also holding station at about 1.9 behind still as well. So not seeing huge gains made, but enough that it is keeping them separated at a distance. 32 minutes left to go, so a lot of racing still in this event. We've got 2 more rounds. Actually, I think that might be 3 more rounds to go after this one, including, speaking of Canada Corner, we're going to Canada next time out at Mosport.
Speaking of phenomenal tracks, that is absolutely one of them. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park are on board with Arthur Chan here, chasing down Dylan Kosnak. That back of that Porsche looking very large at the moment, but Motorsport is a phenomenal track. That place is wild for Porsches.
It's a tough one. I always considered that one of the most difficult tracks in North America, frankly. But coming up the hill here, we're watching the chase with Kosnak leading, Chan leading Walsh. We covered this a little bit earlier. This is for the 4th position. But it's seeming like we're usually we get cases of cars maybe pairing off, but we've got triplets here. We've got 3 up at the front and then these 3 more back here. So I'm not sure what's causing that. And then there's 3 more in the fight for 8th as well, it looks like, with Braun, Eisenring, and Reinsberg.
Yeah, that would absolutely be the case. Yeah, they're trying for this thing still, and it's getting really busy back in that rear grouping there. Hopefully we'll see some good action from those guys very, very soon. Do you want to hear something really tragic, Joe?
Hit me.
Yeah, we talked about Mosport, right? That's the site of my first ever road victory in iRacing official. Yeah, it's a wonderful thought, you think, yeah?
On screen, no, sorry, I saw it. Chris Braun just went wide at turn 5. Eisenring picked it up with ease, so that's 8th place for the number 929, and a look back to the inside, but I'm afraid Braun got chopped off at turn 7. Sorry there, Rachel.
Yeah, no, just dropped it there in turn 5. No, just to summarize really quickly, yeah, cited my first ever road racing victory in iRacing. Unfortunately, it was on my oval license because it was in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
My dad and I have had a constant debate. He says that he has an oval win to his name, but it was at Mosport. So
it's a road win to me. I see it as a road win personally. But ironically, I got my first actual road series win at a NASCAR road track at Sonoma. So go figure. That was in a Mercedes, though. So
back to the racing at hand.
This.
Still riding on board in this 3-way fight. Now we're on board with Reinsberg, looking up at Braun, who has tried to limit the damage that has happened to him. Oh, he goes a bit wide, coming over Bill Mitchell Bend. That is a fast corner, and things can so quickly go south there.
Yeah, Billy Mitchell's one you got to be really careful with. You've got to balance that car. Make sure you've got the good weight transfer on it, because it will spit you out horribly if you do get it wrong. As we're seeing Pies dropping off. Martineau here. Has he decided it's not worth it? He's saving a little bit.
I'm not sure. It's about half a second still. Maybe he's just kind of waiting for the race to come to him. There we see Chris is just kind of giving watch there. He's got his binoculars out and seeing what kind of foul he can find amongst the trees. But the 98 is just keeping his distance and probably looking a little bit more forward now that he's been able to shake Chris slightly. I'm sure he'd prefer to try and take a win over Raphael, but it's not going to be easy to overtake that 8 car.
I don't think it'll be easy to overtake the 8 any day, never mind when you have the 14 staring over your shoulder and licking his lips. It's like trying to eat a hamburger whilst your dog is watching. It's not going to go well no matter what you do. There is no right answer.
I'm going to remember that comparison. That is a good one. As we've watched them come down through the carousel once again to the bottom of the hill. They start to pick up speed here, heading for the fearsome kink. Unable to get any more exit than it has because there are railroad tracks to its outside, so they can't really put any more for the wall to be pushed farther away, and they just kind of have to deal with it. It's kept this to be a very dangerous part of the circuit because of that, all the way down here into Canada Corner. All of them keep it on the track this time, though, and much closer between Amram and Martineau. Once again, it's down to 0.8 of a second to Chris Pies. You're right. It seems like Chris is just having a little bit of trouble.
That's what I was noticing earlier. The gap was similar in time-wise, but he's just not quite got it there. I think he may have used it more than he had compared to those two, getting to where he was, so maybe he's either backed off intentionally here or he's just not quite got the tires now.
Bad news for fans of Jordan Dyer. He's still taking repairs, and I'm not seeing a meatball flag there, so not sure if maybe that's deciding that he just wants to call it a day or what. In the meantime, back to Arthur Chan. riding on board, looking forward at Kosnak. He's been able to get Walsh behind him by about 1.1 seconds, but has still not been able to overtake the 190. This is a good exit here, Rachel. He could have a shot down into turn 5.
There was an opportunity to have a look at, as I don't think he's going to be close enough at all, though. No, nowhere near close enough for that. He had a look, but it just wasn't going to work, I don't think. You've got to be side by side to have a go at that, unless you are desperate and it's the final lap and you're just like YOLO on the brakes.
Well, Kaz isn't able to get it done this time, and Chan will have to sit and ride in the tire tracks some more as we now crack into almost 25 minutes left to go. We're getting into the thick of this race now. And I have to admit, for all the passing zones that they have out here, though there has been some excitement, I'm a bit surprised at how little overtaking we've seen.
Road America could be this way. It will start out like this, and I think we'll see some towards the end. But it can be a little bit like this at times. It's one of those tracks where you have to be very patient with moves.
As the kids say, it do be like that sometimes. So as Arthur Chan continues to follow, with Derwin Kosnak leading him, we're already on to lap 7 of this event. They have continued to drop away from our top 3. It's now about 3.5 seconds. Remember, we mentioned it was about 2 before, and seems like they do not have the pace to hold on to the front. Very wide there coming off of Bill Mitchell Bend from Arthur Chan. That'll put him a little too far back from Kosnak as they exit the final corner. Certainly not within reach this time. In fact, that does help Chris Walsh cut it down to 0.7 of a second, so almost half a second closer than what we saw earlier.
Yeah, that's going to definitely help him there with closing that gap. And I'm keeping my eye on this one. It's getting really close now. Chan is definitely one that will wait. He will always wait for an opportunity. I think we're seeing exactly the same thing here. Now, the rest of our kind of fights have calmed down a little bit. Martineau and Chan are definitely the two really tight battles here. Martineau's looking for another go here. He's not going to be close enough, though, as they go towards 5 again. Too far back.
Yeah, it just seems like he can't quite get the exit he needs. But now we're looking at Martineau in the red, white, and black car. He has suddenly gotten ever closer. It's within 0.2 of a second under braking on Amorim in the star-spangled car. And coming around Corvette Bridge now, he should have a good opportunity if he really wants to be aggressive. The question is, does he want to give it a go, or does he want to try and wait for something that's a little bit more sure? He's not quite there, but he's certainly close enough that I got to think that the 8 is now watching the mirrors.
Yeah, he's got to be... mistake.
Big mistake, yeah.
Yeah, big mistake by Chan there. He got wide. Like wide load down a Wisconsin country lane sort of wide. That was bottled up there. He's lost so much time. In fact, he's bringing Walsh into this argument.
Yeah, I think that was him getting loose, it looked like, from what I could see on board. The car just started to oversteer, and he did a great job gathering that up before it went into the gravel out on the outside. So yeah, Pi is now 0.3 behind. Martineau has to make up 0.9 to reach Amorim. How quickly things have changed around in this battle for the lead in just 1 lap and half a lap, really. Now we take a look from Pi's perspective.
Yeah, it's close. Look at him. Even the bird can see how close this one is. But it's a bit more than a peck to get close enough to him here. It's just the gap is there, but it's not going to be really enough to do anything with this one, I don't think, right now. He could look for it. Is he going to risk it, though? I don't think he's got the tires to risk that move. He's going to maybe save this one, get close, get a good launch out of 3 here, and look for 5. That would be my choice.
Yeah, I think 5 would be the easier one. It's so much of a sharper corner compared to turn 1. Let's see if he can do it.
It's a good run.
He does have fantastic speed. He's going to have the slipstream as well. The green and black number 14. Does he actually go for it? We watch from Martineau, Rachel.
He's coming. Look at this. He's going to the... fake him to the outside, make him cross over. No, he backs out. Okay. It's a good look. He might go for an inside look here, but that'd be really optimistic. That's not this stage of the race, I'd say. But he's found his wind again somehow.
Oh, and Chan finally had to go at Kostanak, but had to do it around the outside of turn 5 as well. That one did not stick, and Kostanak is still ahead. What this did do is mean that Chris Walsh is now right up his tailpipe as well. Here we watch from Chris's perspective.
Yeah, look at this, just how close that is. He had a good run, but I think it's beneficial to wait here. He's on him. Whatever was slowing him down has come back to him now. I think maybe the car's just returned to him with how it's running.
Yeah, maybe just holding on to the rears since these cars have so much weight on the back. Wonder if he's just been preserving them a little bit better and being able to get that shot off the corner. As you can see, they're still relatively close. Wonder if we have a replay of that pass attempt or not, because that's not something we have seen a lot of in this race. And to see Arthur Chan, especially kind of unexpectedly, we got so focused on the other battle. I didn't think that he was that close. And this was down about, I'd say, 50 seconds to a minute ago that this kicked off. Might be a little bit more than that. That the 50 tried to attempt that overtake. But we are nearly at the halfway mark, 40 more seconds, and then we find ourselves halfway through this race. So up the front stretch, they're not as close as they were, so that gives us a chance, and this looks to be, I think, slightly after this. It was down into turn 5. That's through the carousel that we are looking at, and that's out of Corvette Bridge right there. And I think, here we go. Here is the pass attempt.
It's a good look.
Oh, he went down the inside and
yeah.
overshot it.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen if you... That's one of the risks here with turn 5. It is so easy to overcook the exit if you go tight. It's such a tight corner, especially as it starts to climb. As soon as you exit, you just dump your speed.
And look at this, they're side by side again. Chan this time trying the outside, and he made the corner, didn't outbrake himself, but Kostanak is making life difficult.
Look, it's coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't believe Chris Walsh hasn't tried to take advantage of this, though, and now he is. There's a defensive move from Arthur Chan into the hurry downs, downhill braking into here as well. Oh, and a little wide now from Kostanak. Oh, if Chan did not have to defend, maybe he could have had a chance at trying to overtake on that blue number 190, but unfortunately he was distracted.
Yeah, a little bit. It's definitely cost him there, so one to keep your eyes on, of course, but the leaders have all split up now. From being super close, they are now miles apart.
Whoa, and
this returned 3 laps ago.
Off into the grass, Chris Walsh flirting with disaster.
Oh, Chan, look. Oh, wow, these guys have got racy all of a sudden. The lead may have returned to 3 laps ago, but Chan's got a chance here towards Billy Mitchell Bend. Up ahead here, he's all over the back of Kostanak. He's like a bumper sticker. And
it's been a slow boil up to this point, but man, as it suddenly overflowed. This is great if he could just get the exit, but no, Kostanak with a lightning run out of the final turn.
I didn't know where he pulled that because mid-corner, Chan looked like he'd nailed that one, and Kostanak looked like he was slow out the corner, but all of a sudden Kostanak hit the nitrous and whoomp, off he goes. This one has heated up hugely.
Yeah, and now Jim Huth has made it a 4-way battle. The 412 car is trying to become a factor in this one. So as the PCA Pro driver finds himself with a chance to maybe get up to, let's see, this should be for a top 5 position, top 4, even if he can reach Kostanak there up at the front. Kostanak, though, ooh, we got another run as Chan is, nope, not going to take a look this time. Is he trying to get him to go defensive and go for the over-under? If he did, it did not work. Oh, and Martineau's in the lead. What happened to Amarim here?
We need to take a look back and look at what happened there, because that, turn 5. It was turn 5. We're going to replay for you here, but he just cooked it. Like I said, you could lose a race at turn 5, and it is where you will lose a race.
Oh, Amarim has got to be kicking himself. It looked like he had complete control of this race. And let's see, does he just, straight up locked him up on the way in, realized his mistake, tried to at least make the corner so it didn't get worse, and had to give up first.
It's gonna suck, but this is the way the cookie crumbles, especially at Road America. You could win on turn 14, you could lose on turn 5.
Okay, so can he try and pressure Martineau to give the spot back, or does he have to worry about Pies? Oh, and Walsh and Chan are now side by side as well. Chan under attack, and Chan spins up the wheels. He's not just going to lose one, but two, as both Huth and Walsh scream on by.
Oh, that cost him so much. Unfortunate, really, after what he'd gained in this. He's going to fight back, though, now. He's not giving up on this thing. You wouldn't think we're only, 3/4 of the way through this race. These guys are racing like it's the last 2 laps.
Yeah, I mean, between the lead suddenly coming back alive and this giving us some of the best racing all race long, this has been fantastic. We head back to those top 2. Amram now looking at the rear bumper of another car for the first time this whole race. Up ahead of him, the 98 of Cameron Martineau. He needs a good exit out of here, using every inch of the track and kicking up dirt.
Oof, really is. Yeah, absolutely going for it, but he's going to have to give it everything he can still to hold this, because getting it's one thing, keeping it's another, because Rafael Amorim will want this back, and he is fast up the inside. And big outbreak. Oh my God. Oh, there comes Chris Pies. Oh, Amorim, I saw him go so tight, and I saw the lockup. I knew he wasn't turning, but I didn't think Pies would take advantage too. My God.
What about the survival instincts of Cameron Martineau to see that coming, give him enough space, and hold on to the lead? Let's watch it from Chris Pye's perspective. He sees both of them go deep into the corner, probably thinking, this is my chance. He did get one, but he couldn't quite get into the lead. Look at that lockup, and just cuts underneath. Beautiful timing.
That's respect between those three. They gave each other exactly the room they had to. That'd have been a crash in any of the series.
He lined that up to inch perfection and just found the space at the apex there to get by Rafael Amorim. So since then, he had a little look down into turn 8 on Martineau, but wasn't able to actually get any overlap. So obviously, he does have his eyes set on a victory here. He thinks it's possible. And we talked about cars potentially saving a bit for later in the race. Well, I get the sense that maybe Chris Pies was playing possum a little bit early on.
There's every opportunity that could be a thing, because I didn't quite expect it to go this way, and it really has. So, gotta be surprised. I thought we'd see a much more procedural race. We've definitely not seen that. The lead here is about to go again, I think. Here comes Pies, the opportunity he wanted all race. Outside of turn 1, that's bold. No, he's going to hold the outside. Wow.
Wow.
Here comes Amorim back. That's respect. They give each other so much room there. My gosh. Don't do it again. You're just going to cost yourself so much speed. No, God. And here comes Amorim.
He made it stick. He made it work. And Martineau just chopped off Amorim at the last second. He was fully in front, but I'm sure Amorim was none too pleased about that one. It's starting to get a lot more aggressive now. He's going to take a look down into turn 5, and I think after 2 times with drivers overshooting that one, he's learned the lesson of not trying to go too deep into 5.
Yeah, no, this is... oh, wow. Yeah, they've piled on the racing now, and Amorim's going to be a little bit less friendly with Martineau after that block. Pies legging it here, but these guys have got the time to race. They've got 7 seconds on Kostnak. Go racing, guys.
And it looks to me like Pies is quickly trying to distance himself from those two. I think this was a case of saving his stuff and now is blitzed off into the distance. We'll see if that's just an early run with the back and forth between the 98 and the 8, or if he truly has the pace to try and gun it and disappear. So 12 more minutes to finish this one up, about 6 more laps for these drivers as they head down into Canada Corner, looking for the braking. Martineau probably unhappy himself that this has gone away like that after they had such a good run there coming up the front stretch, up over Bill Mitchell Benz. Man, look at Chris Pies. It's already up to 0.7 of a second. I think this is genuine pace.
It really is. It's definitely been a real turnaround from what we saw. And we've been kind of watching its ebb and flow all race long. And this has really evolved to the point where we are now. And it's become a whole different race.
It really has. So weaving back and forth. Chris now trying to break the slipstream. Martineau having none of that. He gets it down to 0.5 of a second, using that toe to get it back in. And, and what happened there to Pies? I looked away for a second, and now he's in second place, maybe even third. Oh, no, a spin! And Amarim, after leading a majority of this race, is around out of turn 3.
No contact there. He just lost the back end, tried to hold it too tight, and it bit him. I feel so bad for him. He's lost so many spots there, but oh, wow. This race went from being kind of mild to full-on Vindaloo in about 5 laps.
Yeah, and there's the answer to my question. I looked away just as he went wide, Christopher Pies, out of turn 1, and that's what cost him the spot. And unfortunately, the lockups and everything have cost Rafael Amarim, rather, I should say, late in this race, and just gave up the ghost in the end. So Pies still in second and still in the hunt, but man, we've now seen mistakes from just about everybody in the top group. Has this been too torrid of a pace? You talked about spicy. Is it the tires that are now too hot?
Tires, tempers, brakes, kind of all those things. A bit warm right now.
All right, well, coming into the Canada corner once again, it's about 5 seconds ahead of Kosnak. They can't dilly-dally too much here, because Derwin could actually catch up to them. I mean, they keep having this much side-by-side racing, this many mistakes, and we could see a whole different group start to become a factor for the win. Let's see, this is looking close off the turn, trying to exit as quick as he can, but the 14, I don't think he was good enough on the throttle.
No, I don't think he was there either. It's just not quite ready yet. So, not the time you'd want to do it, but this is definitely coming on to be something really, really interesting here, as look, they've all separated out behind them. The battle we were looking at has just broken apart here, but it's Pies and Martineau, and this is going to come down to the wire, I think.
Chris is still dipping his wheels into the dirt there, coming through turn 1, using it all up and not leaving anything on the table. Meanwhile, I've been given an update behind the scenes. Apparently, there has been a change of venue. It's not going to be at Mosport, a place very near and dear to my heart, as both my parents are Hoosiers. Indianapolis's new road course will be hosting the next round. So I am excited about that one.
That will be super cool. Indianapolis road course, they're always a fantastic classic, but this could be an exciting change.
That will be a lot of fun. I do love the new one that iRacing has put out, and this is looking a little closer, but Chris doesn't show his nose down into turn 8. That's a little surprising. He looked like he was within range, that he could try and do something there. Good news for them is they are starting to pull away from Kosnak now that they've settled down for a bit, with apologies to the rest of the field. I know we haven't covered them for a while, but again, this is for the lead of the race. It's hard to take our eyes off of what has been a topsy-turvy little battle here.
Yeah, very much so, and we are running down the clock here. The last moments, what we're looking at, 2 laps, maybe? Including this one? We won't see the white flag this time by, but we've got 2, I think, remaining, and I think I'd be very scared if I was Cameron Martineau.
I think it's going to be about 4 to go here for the race, with about 2 minutes per lap. And 8 minutes left on the clock. Oh, less than 8 minutes as they're going to cross the line here. Man, look at Chris. Still, every single corner, he has just been bringing it right out to the grass or the dirt every time. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be giving him quite what he needs. He is getting closer here. It's the longest straight up the main stretch past the pits, and he's going to show himself in the mirrors of that red, white, and black number 98, but it's not going to shake him off the racing line, and still dragging up the sod. It seems that Christopher Pies has not learned his lesson of what gave up the lead for him.
No, he definitely hasn't. I don't think Pies can learn that lesson ever in a lifetime. He will always keep trying. As we have got a couple more retirements. Brody and Wilson also added to that list, as well as Comas. So, unfortunate day for those guys, but it is what it is when it comes to rotor racing. Clock is on the short end here. We should make it to the end. I think we'll get white flag this time, I believe. Joe, if I'm correct.
No, we're seeing 7 minutes left on the clock.
Oh, 7 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the completely wrong clock then apparently. So yeah, we've got like 3 laps, 4 laps, so we're good. Ignore me. I'm looking at a totally different clock. Yeah, no, it's going to be coming down to the wire though. But behind them, Kosnak could be under threat from Walsh, but it does seem as though Amram has just dropped to the order. I think he's got maybe some damage somehow, but he is all the way down in 8th.
I've got to imagine if it was any damage, something maybe underneath the car, maybe the diffuser, because he didn't. I don't think he actually hit anything in all the stuff that we saw him involved with there. But yeah, Rafael all the way in 8th position. Not exactly what he was hoping for at this stage. But this fight for the 4th spot, doing fantastic. I guess essentially for the 3rd one, if they can catch back up to Kostanak. There you can see in the lighter blue car up ahead of them. Kostanak still at about 5 seconds behind our top 2. So unless those 2 tangle, I'm not seeing a chance to try and take the victory now. He really needed them to continue to fight earlier and lose time, and that was not the case. So they come up to complete lap 16 now. And what is in store? We might want to go back to Pies. He's got another good run here.
Yeah, he does. He's not quite. Actually, maybe, yeah.
Defense to the inside.
It's not close enough, though. He's on the wrong positioning for it, I think, is the problem. If he gets a good run in 3, though, it could be. Oh, no, he's going to go for it now. Never mind.
Pulled the over-under. Now Pies is all the way down to the apex, taking it away on turn 3 from Martineau. But the wider run, Martineau finds a little bit better momentum. It's still a bit of a drag race as they fly down the moraine sweep. And Martineau's going to have the advantage with the inside. But will we see another switchback from the 14 car? He's going to have to brake a little earlier if that's going to be the case. He's actually got a nose ahead as they come down into the braking zone. He's going to do it the hard way, or try to at the very least. He's given space as they return back to the track from the curbs on the outside of 5, still on the outside, down through 6. It switches back in 7. Can he actually get this done the long way around of 2 corners? He does! Unbelievable. It took 3 turns, but Christopher Pies has done it.
That's racing, and that's respect between those two. They gave each other every inch they needed to race fair but race hard. And props to Martineau there for holding him as long as he did, but they earned that position.
Oh man, other guys got to be taking notes. Remember, he passed around the outside of 1 and 3 earlier in the race. Now he did it around 5 and 6. There is no stopping this man in this race. As hard as Martineau has been trying, you can't fault him. He put on a stout defense. But it seems the 14 is just a freight train today, and there is going to be nothing in his way as they are going to come around to 2 to go this time by. So Martineau's not out of it, but he's got to get after it.
Oh yeah, the fat lady hasn't sung yet, and I think if she does, it's the this hot dog song. The Oscar Mayer hot dog song, probably, if she does sing something. But in this case, no, I don't think he's out with it yet. But the gap is bigger than it was for Pies, so it's going to be an uphill climb.
There's plenty of well-fed women in Wisconsin to sing, I'm sure, as they come up to turn 1 once again. And this time, now it's going to be Martineau, who looks a little bit loose, nearly getting into the dirt. Did he now use it up? Having to play defense, taking some of those tighter corners there as he tried to hold back Chris Pies. He's nowhere near close enough out of turn 3 down the moraine sweep as we hop on board to watch from his view. There you can see up ahead about 3 car lengths. That's not going to do it for them. That back and forth did allow Kostanak to cut it down to about 4 seconds behind them. But Kostanak is definitely not worried about those in front of him, because here, as we see from Chris Walsh, there is Derwin just in front of him. In fact, that's a better exit there from Chris. Maybe can he do something sneaky into turn 6? It doesn't quite look like it.
No, not quite yet, but it's definitely an improvement there. So we'll have to see what he can do with it. But we are like 2 minutes 21 right now. So yeah, we should be in the closing moments here. It's going to have to be a really late move by Martineau, because we know Pies will attack back and defend and take it back if he can. So this is a you put your eggs in one basket here and you go for it. But Arthur Chan on board here, P6. He's caught up to Huth, and we've got a big train going here. Huth, Walsh, Kosnak. Yeah, this one's going to be interesting to the line.
Well, you said it earlier, Walsh is going to have to be like a man eating a hamburger in front of his dog, and unfortunately, he may try and reach for the ketchup here, and suddenly Huth or Chan will try and pounce on that juicy burger as Kosnak sits tantalizingly in front of him. Oh, and then there you go, right there as he goes a little wide, and Huth could maybe pounce, but no. He's going to be able to cover him off as they come into Bill Mitchell Bend, but that one little error has meant that Kosnak has now run away.
Yeah, it really has, unfortunately, but he's got what he needed from that movement, and it's really helped him with his positioning. Let's not forget, I thought that was Amarin for a second. Actually, it's not. It's somebody else entirely. Martino. Ooh, it's looking.
Oh, but he's locked him up. He's locked him up. Can he keep it out of the grass? He's in the grass. Can he hold it? He's trying to bring it back on in time, and he's got it. Kosnak is coming, but I think Martineau saved himself behind them. A car is off as well. That's going to be, I believe, Chris Walsh, unfortunately.
Sympathetic grass cutting over there. It's all starting to go for a bit of a dip. Unfortunate, but it's going to make things more interesting here as you actually see Eisenring. No, it's not Eisenring. Sorry, I think that's Carter's down a spot here. The 99. Oh, Walsh trying to get back past Chan.
Yeah, as he attacks him coming down into turn 5, but Chan goes defensive. The white flag, white is usually seen as a boring color, but here it has brought the excitement. My goodness, another lock up there from Chris Walsh. He is abusing those tires. There's only one more lap, but they got to make the lap, Chris. And up ahead of them, this has meant that Pies is now well clear with no challenge from behind. This is our closest battle here.
Oh boy, this is not calming down, is it? So the last half of this race has been absolute chaos. Pies is going to clear. We've got this chaos down here for the top 5, and my gosh, they're not backing off.
Man, one of these guys, or a bunch of these guys, were listening to the broadcast and heard us say that things have not been that interesting in the first half, and they took that personally and have given us a stunner in the second half of this race. I have seen some phenomenal moves and some incredible moments out here, and it looks like we might get another one as they're going to go door to door down into Canada Corner, and it looks like Arthur Chan cannot overtake on Huth. Meanwhile, Chris Pies out of the final corner. What do you know? From 4th place and hanging back early on, he fought his way to the front, and he takes the win here today at Wisconsin.
Masterclass in racing there for these guys. Walsh has gone off, we find out in the last moments here. He's going to lose some spots as they come to the line. Unfortunate for him, but I gotta say, Pies put on a masterclass here in how to pass cars over and over again.
Here's Walsh. He's on the attack here. That looks like Chan that he's trying to overtake. Did he go wide into the grass maybe? Yes, he did. And he is dirt tracking it. I know that Porsches at one time were used in rally, but this model is not made for that, as he demonstrates. Well, what a finish. That takes us to our results. As I mentioned, Pies taking the win over Martineau. It's both pros up at the top, with PCA pros being led by Derwin Kosnak. He should be proud of that one. With a overall podium, as Jim Huth was behind him in the 4th position. Arthur Chan started 5th and finished 5th. You wouldn't know it with the way that he gained so many positions there at the end, but slow but steady, I guess you could say. He kept it on the track and others didn't. Rafael Amarim could only get back to 6th, as then we finally have our next pro driver. We have Ed Eisenring in 7th, rather, with Chris Walsh being the pro driver in 8th. What's the second half of the field look like, Rachel?
Well, in the 8th spot, we've got Chris Walsh, as we mentioned there. Rick Reisenberg behind him, with Jacob Schum there in, I believe it's going to be the 10th spot. 11th is Chris Braun there. We've got Lynn Wilson as a non-finish behind, with Jordan Dyer and Travis Brody.
Only 14 cars, but really, we have to remember you only need 2 to have a good race. And I'd say these 14 put on about 7 times as much of a good race as just 2 of them. So Fantastic stuff. I think we're going to be talking to our winner here in a moment. Yes, we've got Christopher Pies joining us now. And Chris, this one took you on a roller coaster of emotions, I have to think. You were up and you were down and you were up and eventually ended up on top, but it probably didn't feel like it the whole way.
I tell you what, big hats off to both Raphael and Cameron. That was some of the most exciting racing I've ever been a part of, and it was an absolute pleasure. And the only way that makes it work is the respect we have for each other. So big hats off to them. They're great competitors, and I'm still trying to take it in. I don't know how Cameron and I basically went too wide for half a lap around Road America.
We're not sure either. Twice you made a pass around the outside here that took 2 corners, which is impressive on its own. But once you did get up to the lead, it looked like at first maybe you could fly away like a bird, but it eventually they caught back up to you. Were you expecting to be able to run away?
No, I definitely was not. I think Cameron's running a little less wing than I am, so he's got some more straight line speed. I, of course, was able to carry a little more speed through the corners, so I had to use that to my advantage. But I was trying to time it to where I'd make the pass late in the race, basically conserve my tires for the first maybe 4/5 of the race, and then make a move in the last maybe 4 laps. And if I could do that and time it right, I was hoping I could get maybe a little bit of a gap to where the advantage would fall in my favor. And ultimately it ended up working out. Unfortunately, Cameron, I think, had a little bit of a mishap. I hope I didn't cause it too much, but I was trying to defend pretty hard into turn 1. But yeah, there was a lot of fun racing this race.
I always feel vindicated when I make a call in the middle of the race that somebody's saving tires and they come in and say that. But next round, initially it was thought to be Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport to most people. But we just got word that it's going to be Indy Road. Is that a bit of a relief? Because Mosport is one of the more punishing tracks, obviously. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I think it evens the field a little bit. I don't think anybody has a whole lot of experience over at Indy, and especially with the new scan that we just got. So it'll be interesting to see how people can adapt. Now, obviously, Mosport is a great racetrack. It's not one of my best ones, so I'll gladly trade that for new Indy. I'm really looking forward to it.
I can concur on that one. Well, congratulations, Chris, and we can't wait to see you out in the Hoosier State.
Thanks, Joe.
That was Chris Pies, your winner. And we actually have another winner. Yes, he was 3rd overall, but Rachel has caught up with our PCA Pro winner, Derwin Kostanek.
I have indeed, Derwin. A very busy race for yourself there, with yourself, the likes of Walsh and Chan. Tell me about how this was all day long, fighting and defending around a track like Road America.
Yeah, the first race, I just knew I didn't have the pace of the guys up front and was trying to figure out everything I could do to just hang with the guys in front. When it came to the second race, I got a little lucky. Arthur made a mistake, made me get around him, and then it was a matter of just trying to stay ahead and keeping a cool head with a half a second gap in behind. The biggest thing for defending was trying not to be that guy that just blocks everything, but just trying to make it more difficult. And thankfully, my mistakes were more minor than there were for others. And then I really honestly inherited 3rd place. There's no way that my speed was there to actually get there. I saw that Raphael went off, and so I just kind of inherited 3rd when that happened to him.
Well, it's 3rd regardless. It's got to feel good to be the fastest of the PCA pros tonight.
I guess I didn't realize that. Yeah, that does feel good. And you're right. A podium's a podium. I kept it on the track, and there it is.
One of the most forgotten and underappreciated parts of racing is to stay on the track. So, they say, oh, it's a cheap, point or a cheap position, cheap win. You just stayed on the track, no one else crashed. You were the fastest, but you know what? You got there at the end. So that's exactly what matters.
Well, that's
right. You were
right.
fast, by the way. You were very fast today. Fantastic racing with you guys back there. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank tonight?
I've got a ever increasing batch of fans that I keep emailing the link to the race for, and so I just appreciate my friends who are interested in this and are happy to watch and take it in, whether live or a little bit afterwards. It just makes me feel good. I'm racing for somebody, not just for myself. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Dylan Kostanak coming home today, 3rd overall, and the fastest of the PCA pros.
Thanks, Rachel.
That'll take us to second place finisher Cameron Martineau, who had the other side of that battle with Chris Pies and just about threw away that second place right at the end. I have to imagine there was some blue words coming out in the cockpit on that turn one of the last lap there, Cameron.
Yeah. You know, I mean, Chris did a really good job defending. And, you know, of course, with us racing so close like that, you know, it's of course any little movements. It really, it freaked me out a little bit. But hey, I watched it back, and of course that was good, close, hard racing. So of course, in the heat of the moment, you're sitting there, and yeah, you do see a bit red, but no, that was really good, really close racing by Chris. So hats off to him for really, you know, making a great move there on me, biding his time, keeping it clean, and yeah, defending well at the end.
Now, you also had another moment where I'm sure the race flashed before your eyes down into turn 5, where Amarim tried to have a go at passing you down into that corner, and you had to go extremely wide. As one of the pro drivers, is that experience with the spatial awareness, did that come in handy to have sort of that survival instinct in that moment?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I saw it coming. You know, with these cars being so touchy on the brakes without any like ABS or anything, you know, we really, it's so easy to lock up. So, you know, he reached out to me after, said, yeah, I wasn't trying to go at you from that far back, you know, locked it up a bit. But, you know, it was definitely that having that sort of that spatial awareness, enough time in the cockpit and racing enough different people in the sim, I definitely, you know, looked in my rearview mirror under the braking zone, saw it coming, and, you know, that spatial awareness definitely saved me there, because I did it earlier in the day. It's so easy to lock up there, and once you lock it up, you travel so far in the braking zone there. So
Yeah,
but,
sorry,
go ahead. I would say I don't think that was the biggest moment. Honestly, I had a bigger flash before my eyes when I went, you know, almost tried to drift in the carousel midway through the race. So
we did catch that one on board, of all things, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you have some redemption that you have to get, I guess, next time when we go to Indianapolis. Do you see anything you can do to try and take it back to Chris over there at Indy to try and take the win over him?
You know, I just think for me personally, I'm just focusing on my prep, and you know, I definitely felt a little bit under prepped for this one. So I think, you know, at least for Indy, it's kind of a clean slate for all of us, because iRacing came in with the new scan. So we haven't really, and they just released it, I think it was last week. So, you know, even though it's fairly similar to the 2009 version that they had in here, we did a little fun race at it last night, and I can say that the track surface feels a lot different. You kind of cut out, you know, a good third of the track, and we never had the last chicane in the last section in the previous scan. So I think it's going to be about level ground for everyone. And, you know, I think if I just put in the time and the effort, we'll race well, and we'll see where we end up.
Well, again, fantastic job, and thanks for the incredible show that you gave us out there. We can't wait to see you next time out.
Awesome. Thank you guys for a great broadcast, and thanks to the admins for putting on a great series. This is a ton of fun.
That was a blast for us as well. That was Cameron Martineau, second place finisher here today at Road America in the PCA Pro GT3 series. We're going to wrap it up, though, and we'll see you next time at the Indianapolis Road Course, August. Excuse me. We are talking to one more, rather, before we close up. It looks like Rachel has caught up with Jim Huth, who finished 4th today.
Hi, Rachel.
Jim.
Why am I here? Did I skip school? Am I in trouble?
I'm sure there's a that's I'm not clued in on. So I'm going to ignore that for now, but I will investigate. You will be found out whoever started this. James Huth, a great race for you tonight. A really, really busy one there on track. You, Derwin, Arthur, and the likes of Raphael towards the end. You guys were all over each other. That must have been a blast.
Oh, it was without a doubt an absolutely fun race. Some really, really great characters. Chris Walsh always pushes really, really hard, sometimes to his detriment. It was the only way I could keep up with him. And Derwin was looking in his review mirror, and Travis was all over the place, and Chris Braun was in there, and Arthur. We had a really, really good scrap. I don't care where we finished. You couldn't wipe the grin off our faces, I'm sure.
Honestly, good racing is often more fun than a good result at a bad race. So, absolutely no. It's exactly the kind of thing that you want to get out of a race, obviously. And this track is a fantastic. It's one we're all familiar with, but familiar. Indy Road. What are your thoughts?
Well, we've switched to Indy because Carrera Cup North America moved to there because of the Sports Car Together event that's going to be happening there. So we're going to rush over, and iRacing just released a new scan of it, and we're hoping it matches close enough that we can all get in there and get some work done. I ran a couple laps. It's a fantastic track. It's technical. It's an interior road course with a couple of arches of the oval. It's a different discipline than one of these country road circuits, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of places where you can make up time. I like the fact that it's fresh and new for all of us, so it'll be a treat.
Speaking of school, I think everyone will be going to school at that track when we go there next time out. So thank you very much for joining us, James. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for the race today?
Oh, I want to thank Stephen Kemp for keeping all of us in line and keeping all the CCNA drivers informed of where we're going and what we're all doing. And you guys for showing up on Thursday nights every month or so for us. And Doug and Ryan and everybody involved with this. It's such a great series, and it's a treat for us to race each other with no holds barred and really have some fun.
Absolutely glad to hear it. Well, that's James Huth coming home today in 4th place.
Thank you, Rachel.
So now that will actually wrap us up here this evening. And as I said earlier, we'll see you next time for Indianapolis at their road course on August 25th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, live here on Podium Esports. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Porsche. If I can get the words out tonight, a big thank you to the steering committee as well at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Rachel, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing, sponsored by Porsche. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.